Happy birthday to me. Sing along, please. Happy birthday. Strugglers, I just turned 29 years old. And I'm starting to lose my sense of self. Who am I? When I was younger, it was really easy to identify who I thought I was, even though I didn't have a lot going on. For a while, I was just Scott, the guy who makes silly videos. Then I got a little bit older and I was Scott, the athlete. Heck, I even tried to be Scott, the singer at one point. That was weird. But now that I'm almost 30, I ask again. Who am I? I'm Scott. Okay, that one was easy. I'm a husband. I'm a father. I'm a YouTuber. I'm the Little Big Planet Fish Attack level world record holder. But is that enough? Things feel murkier now than they did when I was just a kid. And I didn't know anything back then. The more things I do and the more experiences I gain in life, the harder it is for me to pin down who I am. I've tried looking inward. I meditated the other day. That was extraordinarily unhelpful. I fell asleep. I've been trying to pick up some new hobbies every now and then, thinking that might help me out, but they never stick for more than a couple of weeks at a time. And then I started to think, maybe if I'm struggling to look inward, I should try looking outward. Who is Scott? Maybe, just maybe, I could learn a thing or two from other Scotts.
Scotty doesn't know. Oh, Scotty doesn't know. So don't tell Scotty. Scotty doesn't know. Scotty doesn't know.
Scott Pilgrim versus the world. That's a pretty big thing to face. I'm stressed when it's Scott Cramer versus a loose deadline. I can't even imagine this. Scott Pilgrim is a big studio film, but it has a surgically precise vision and execution. Scott is a quiet, unassuming guy who gets enamored with a new girl who moves to town. Been there, buddy. Not a good idea. Well, Scott also learns the dangers of this when he realizes he has to battle all of this girl's exes in order to officially earn her love. So, what the heck are we learning from this guy? I've been married for 5 years, so no worries there. Love you, honey. But maybe there is something to be said about this guy's character arc. He starts out as a bit of a dud, just kind of going through the motions. Sounds like someone I once knew. He starts off maybe a little shy, lacking some confidence and self-esteem. You think, I don't know, maybe that's stupid. But he turns into a cool, strong dude by the end of it, with a heaping pile of conviction, self-assurance, and I'm absolutely positive about that. So yeah, I can see some of myself here. Scott goes after what he wants even though he knows it could potentially hurt him. I myself have done that, and it's worth it. Okay, sweet, one movie down. I think this might actually be a pretty good exercise for me. I'm learning things about myself. I just wanted to watch a bunch of movies with my name in the title. I didn't know it would actually be helpful. So then, now, who is Scott? All right, I think I might actually be starting to see things clearer. This is kind of nice. 29 ain't so bad. Sure, I was 19 like 3 months ago, I swear to God, but there's nothing to be stressed about. Let's watch another flick. Shoot, okay, I am gonna go get gas very quickly, and in this economy? Let's hear a very quick word from this video's sponsor. Can I just say, thank you to Bombas for sponsoring this video. Bombas is a clothing company with a mission to help those in need. They donate the most requested items at homeless shelters, meaning that for every item you purchase, an item gets donated. And because of that, over 150 million essential clothing items have already been donated. What an insane number. They've got all kinds of stuff, bras, t-shirts, slippers, but their hot ticket item is their socks. I am wearing a pair right now. Oh, I'm moving my desk. You got really long ones for occasions where you would wear really long ones. Ankle socks for ankle socks occasions. I've had these no-shows for probably 8 years now, and they're still going strong. And I have some great news for anybody that's outside of the US. Bombas now offers international shipping, so over 200 countries that couldn't previously get Bombas, you can get them now, y'all! And something special just for you guys. New customers will get 20% off their order if you go to bombas.com/Scott Cramer and use the code Scott Cramer at checkout. I've got a QR code for you. There's a link in the description, all the good stuff. They have a 100% happiness guarantee, so you can get yourself some free exchanges, free returns, if for any reason you need those things. So go get yourself your new favorite pair of socks, and then come back and say thank you, Scott. Thank you so much to Bombas for sponsoring this video. Thank you to you guys, as always, for using my links when I have them. Helps me out a ton. Now let us get back to the video. Scott Pilgrim is great, but how much can I really learn about myself from a guy who's not even real? You know what I mean? So I also wanted to take a look at a documentary, and with that comes a movie called A Man Named Scott. This documentary is about the Grammy Award-winning artist Scott Mescudi, also known as Kid Cudi. When I talk about people who influenced my creativity as a youngin', I always cite The Lonely Island and Jake and Amir, but somebody who deserves as much credit as them is Kid Cudi. I didn't know how much I loved music until Man on the Moon hit my eardrums for the first time. I actually listened to it right over there, in that building, just beyond those walls. My buddy Nick pulled it up on Groove Shark on one of the school's iMacs, and I was forever changed. I'm not being hyperbolic. It was awesome. If I was gonna buy it, I would have done Kid Cudi's Man on the Moon. Kid Cudi was my favorite artist for like 10 years straight. I'm such a Kid Cudi fan, and it actually hurts me a little bit to hear that you don't really even know that album.
I'm sorry.
That album is iconic. How dare you? At that point, I had really only known things that I heard on the radio, on the bus ride to school, which was always country music. And then I had listened to some of the CDs that my parents had in the car, which is like, 70s and 80s classic rock. And now I'm sitting here, I don't know, 13 years old. I'm thinking, why am I listening to sad boy music? But it made me feel some type of way, something that I had never really been able to connect to until then. And Cudi was always a little bit different than what people were used to. He came into a genre that was already very popular, and he put his own very unique spin on it. It hadn't really been done yet, and he was influenced by so many different types of people, not just those that were in that genre that he was in, different musical genres, directors, everything under the sun that you can pull inspiration from, Cudi did, and he put it into his music. And it made something that at least I had never heard before. He wanted to do things differently. He wanted to make ethereal melodic rap. Okay, well, what does that sound like? We haven't heard that before. I don't know. Let's figure it out as we go. He worked in the background of the industry, making some of the biggest hits that I had ever heard in my life up to that point. And I didn't even know he was involved. He was just back there doing it, doing his thing. Scott also had this crazy ability to make people feel seen who maybe had never felt seen before. People were relating to him in a way that a lot of other artists were never able to capture. The stuff that he was singing about was so deeply personal and raw and different than what we were kind of hearing on the radio, and he created anthem after anthem for like young misfits. He wasn't really a household name. He wasn't a mainstream artist as much as other people were. He's very successful, okay? But I think at the time it wasn't like, oh, everybody knows who Kid Cudi is. He had a little bit of a nicheness to him. But at the same time, there were so many other creative people in the industry that had his back 100%. A very tight circle of outsiders who had all different talents and niches, but all one common passion to create something that was brand new. He really collected a special group of people around him. Uh-oh. This is starting to sound familiar again. I am so gosh darn lucky to be surrounded by so many awesome people. People who believe in me, people who uplift me, people who push me to be a better version of myself all the time. And you know what? I don't think that just happens by accident. You get what you put out, right? And I think sometimes it's good to reflect on those around you so that you can get a better understanding of yourself. If you plant a garden and all of the plants die, and it's overrun with pests and everything is just rotten, you probably did something wrong. I hate to say it, I hate to be the one to tell you that, but you probably messed up somewhere. But if that garden is beautiful and vibrant and alive and flourishing, you also have to give yourself credit for that. My garden is so beautiful. So thank you, Scott, for reminding me to stop and smell the roses.
Sad boy music. Sad boy music.
All right, that is all fine and good, but Cudi is, a pretty big artist, and that documentary was backed by Amazon. So I also want to look at something that is lower stakes. I stumbled upon this really small independent documentary called Scott's Pizza Tours. It isn't even available to watch anywhere other than this low quality re-upload that I found on Dailymotion. They didn't want me to see the pizza documentary, but I'd stop at nothing to see the pizza documentary. I dang near shed a tear over this film. Scott is so unabashedly passionate about pizza. It almost feels like he's playing a character, or like making it all up. The movie follows him on his New York City pizza tours, where he brings groups of people around to different pizzerias and he teaches them pretty much everything there is to know about pizza. He also started his massive charity event in New York that feeds thousands of people every year. He judges an international pizza competition in Las Vegas. He's documented every slice of pizza he's ever eaten since like 2012. He has a world record for the largest collection of pizza boxes that he also wrote a book about. I could only dream of loving something this much. My wife and children not included, obviously. But like, what else do I love? Do I not have interests? Do I have any hobbies? What do I like doing? I used to like things. Now I just, work? You know what I like to do for fun? Go to a coffee shop and work on my next video. That's not healthy. I try to golf every now and then in the summer. I even got these golf shoes. I've only worn these like 3 times. It's almost impossible for me to get out there. I leave the house like twice a week. I don't play video games anymore. I watch maybe 1 episode of TV a day, if that. I just spend so much of my time working. My only hobby is also my job. And I think, that's kind of a dream scenario for most people, and it's a dream scenario for me, but there's something about it that just doesn't feel quite right. So that is something that I need to work on. I need to find things that bring me joy outside of work. And I think I can do that. It can't be that hard to enjoy things, right? If Scott can find so much purpose in pizza, I can find purpose in other things as well. I'm a broken man. I've watched so many Scott movies. Scott and Sid, Scott of the Antarctic, Scott Free. This one's about 2 brothers escaping a life of crime. I cannot relate to that. I accidentally took a Reese's from a gas station when I was a kid once, and I couldn't sleep that night. I still don't have the answers, so I keep looking. Maggie and Scott taught me that real growth happens really slowly, one day at a time. Travis Scott, Look Mom, I Can Fly, taught me the dangers of hubris. Scotty and the Secret History of Hollywood was honestly just kind of upsetting. There's also a movie called Scotty, and that's about a stray cat, and it hasn't come out yet, but I read the description on the animation studio's website. A stray cat has to travel with a pet cat despite his desire to return to his territory, but when he gets home, he realizes that living with those he loves is better than living alone. That's nice. Yeah, I like that. But this many movies deep, I just feel like I'm not really getting anywhere. I still don't know who I am. And sure, I picked up a few nuggets along the way, but this is all so fatiguing. It almost feels like I'm hearing the same message regurgitated over and over and over, just in different movies. And then I remembered a deep cut. Sometimes nostalgia is the best drug to pull something out of you that's always been there. So if I'm not absorbing anything from these new movies that I'm watching for the first time, maybe I can ignite a flame inside of me by going back. Enter the Buttercream Gang. This was a movie that I remember watching, I don't know, a dozen times when I was a kid. And you may have already noticed, Scott isn't in the title of this movie. Why are you talking about the Buttercream Gang? And that's totally fair. But the main character in this movie is named Scott, and I think you'll be okay with me using this once I'm done explaining why. The Buttercream Gang is a movie about this group of friends who call themselves the Buttercream Gang. They spend their time doing all these good things in their community, like they help the elderly, they deliver newspapers, clean up trash around town, all sweet, wholesome stuff. Well, one day, the leader of their group, Pete, moves away to Chicago to live with his aunt. His parents are gone, he's been living with his grandpa, and his aunt needs help raising her kids, I guess. He's supposed to be a good role model for them, as he is the leader of the Buttercream Gang. Makes sense. But while he's in Chicago, he gets involved with some not-so-great guys, and he slowly turns into a bit of a delinquent, straying from the path that he was on back home. A tale as old as time. And one day, things have gotten so out of control in Chicago that Pete gets expelled from school, and his aunt thinks, well, at this point, I think we gotta send you back home to live with your grandpa again, because you're not being a very good role model for my kids. You're getting in trouble out here. It's not best for you. You need to go back home. And when he goes home, his old gang is so happy to see him. They're excited about that. But they do quickly realize that Pete has changed. The once leader of their local group of little do-gooders has turned into a not-so-great guy himself, and his friends have to grapple with that. No matter how hard they try, Pete is not the same guy that he was before he left. He's vandalizing the neighborhood, he's tormenting other kids, he's stealing from the local grocery store. He's just really, he's raising hell a little bit. But the whole time, his former best friend Scott never gives up on him. He knows that Pete is a good person in a bad circumstance that just got led down the wrong road. He is a better man than he is showing. Eventually, things just get out of control again, and Pete runs away to go back to Chicago to be with his gang again. And it's presumed that he's back there getting into trouble again because Scott is writing him letters, he's not hearing back. Nobody knows what happened to Pete. But then one day, everybody back home reads a newspaper article about Pete, and it is revealed that he's started his own new Buttercream Gang chapter in Chicago. They're the only gang in the area that's doing good things. They refuse to be violent, they refuse to vandalize and steal. All they're doing is helping people, just like he did back home with his old friends. It is a fantastic ending to a gut-wrenching roller coaster of a story. Even when Pete didn't want it, Scott was always there to remind him who he was and help guide him back to the right path. I am selling this movie way short with this limited description of it. You gotta take my word for it. It is a fantastic film. Anybody that says it's bad is dumb and wrong. I'm so serious about that. And after rewatching it again all these years later, I actually did take something new away from it. I think, and this might sound corny, I have slowly drifted away from my younger self. I never went as far as Pete did. I haven't so much as littered, but I have found myself a lot more in recent times not really being that bright-eyed kid that I used to be when I was little. And that happens to all of us, right? But I noticed it happening to me, and I don't like that. Like I said, I don't really have hobbies, and I struggle even checking in on the friends that I do have. I go months without talking to certain people. I've had a really hard time finding the joy in things without also looking for a way that it can serve me in my job. Like, oh, this is a really sweet moment. How can I turn this into something I can use in a video? And I do realize the irony of me telling you this via a YouTube video. I'm just sick of being that guy. The old me figuratively went away for a while, and he came back a different person. I just needed time to figure out who I thought I was, and luckily, Scott was always there to help guide me back to the right path. Now, to finally answer the question you've probably been asking yourself, why are you here? What is this? Well, my grandparents used to live in this very house, and in that room, right there, is where I first watched the Buttercream Gang when I was a kid. I didn't know it then, but over 2 decades later, that moment has helped me. It's helped me figure out who I am again. So thank you, Scott, for never giving up on me. This is my final year in my 20s, my last truly youthful year. I can't just let it pass me by, is what an idiot would say. Admittedly, I'm really excited for my 30s, so 29 honestly feels like a bonus year. I'm gonna take this time and really try to soak in all of those moments that I would normally just go through the motions of. I'm gonna cherish every round of golf. I'm gonna go get coffee without opening my laptop. I'm gonna watch some of the movies in my Letterboxd watch list that I haven't touched in 3 years. And hopefully I'll be the reason why somebody else does those things as well. So yeah, I'm Scott, the husband, father, YouTuber, Little Big Planet Fish Attack level world record holder. And you know what else? I'm also a risk taker, and a trendsetter, and a lightning rod. This started out as an idea to just watch every movie with my name in the title, and I could have done that, it would have been fine. But it evolved into a journey of hopeful self-discovery. And I'm very grateful that that happened. So strugglers, here's to 29. May it be overflowing with joy and love. I know it will be.
Scotty, I've got some issues that nobody can see, and all of these emotions are pouring out of me. I bring them to the light for you. It's only right. This is the soundtrack to my life. The soundtrack to my life.